Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to INL here for Evaluation Race 2 for Division 2 or Group 2. We're here at the beautiful Silverstone circuit. We've just had qualifying in real life. Hamilton dominated like we all expected, and we'll see if that's going to be the case here, if anyone is going to dominate. Personally, I don't think so. I think we're going to have a very close race as we're just loading in to the qualifying session. We'll have a rundown of the grid once we load in. Believe we're live. Doesn't seem like it yet, but I think we are on. If you're in the chat, say hello, and that would be very nice to see who's watching. As there we are now, we've loaded in. We'll have a full rundown of the grid. My screen is black, but that shouldn't matter because we'll load in any second now, everyone. There we go. So we've got Nuffle BC in. I believe that is the Renault. That was he was a very strong contender in the end of F1 2019 in the Sprint Series for the Division 2 title. He sadly did lose out to Sabino, I think. Stumpy, one that came late into the Sprint Series, he did really well, and he won, I think, 2 or 3 races on the trot. He's in the Ferrari today. We've got J. Luke, who was a strong contender in Div 2. We've got a car coming out the pit lane. Chris Panda Gaming says, "Come on, Jamie." Great to hear the support for your friends, as LR Julian, who's actually coming out of the pits right now in that Alfa Romeo, one of my personal favourite cars to drive in the game. Vitinho, who seems to be in the Alfa Tauri, which is a I think I've seen him in that car in most cases that he's been given the opportunity. Frosty Calvin in the popular Racing Point, driven by Nico Hulkenberg this weekend in real F1 after Perez sadly has contracted the coronavirus. Hope he does get better soon, but it's nice to see Nico Hulkenberg back for the foreseeable future. TTG King J, I'll just call him King, he's currently taking up the Ferrari seat. And then Paulus in the Red Bull car. It's a very beautiful livery it has. It doesn't really change, but you know, don't fix what's not broken. Then you've got, it's just E-Duck in the AlphaTauri, Vitinho's teammate today. We'll see if they can do well. Killer Brent in that Renault, he's flying through cops right now. That's one of my personal favourite corners. Then we've got Hypes, who's just come out of the pit lane now. He is in the Red Bull car, teammate to Paulus. We've got the first of the 2 Mercedes. Look at this livery, absolutely beautiful. They've changed it so it's the black livery. Callum 25 in the other Williams, he's actually about to start a lap, so we'll just quickly run through Patrick, who's in the Mercedes, and then Chris, who's in the other Alfa Romeo, as we'll follow along with Callum on his lap. He's just come through turn number 1 now, through Abbey, an easy corner to lose the back end. He seems to have kept it all tight knit now, just braking in between the 100 meter and 50 meter boards through this little village section, coming up towards the Wellington straight. You want to get the power down pretty early. He's getting a little bit of a fishtail through there, shouldn't affect him too much, as now he opens up the DRS, blitzing it down the straight. He's got the Racing Point right behind him. I believe that is Frosty Calvin. He's the only Racing Point in the session today. Now through Luffield, where Lewis Hamilton and Nicholas Latifi both went off in qualifying, and he seems to be clean through there. Through Woodcut, and now on the old pit straight on the run up towards Cops. Flat out corner. Is he even going to lift at all? No, he won't. And he almost spins the car, getting a little bit of a fishtail. It seems to be pretty unstable at the rear of the car, but he's moving through Maggots and Beckett's, and now onto Chapel up towards the hangar straight. A nice diagonal line, but he takes it pretty tight. He could have actually gone a little bit wider, kept some speed up, but it seems to be going strong right now through Stowe, where you used to be able to completely abuse the track limits. You can't do that on this game. They've really knuckled down on that, and through the Vale chicane to complete his lap. What is going to be the time to beat? It will be a 1 minute 25.3, as I think Julian is next. Yes, he is. Is he going to beat him? Yes, he will. Going 8 tenths quicker in that Alfa Romeo, setting the pace there. Paulus going on a 24.8 in that Red Bull. That is a good time from him. Just a couple tenths behind Julia. Killer goes third. BC taking up sixth now as just Chris F1 has gone 3 tenths slower than his teammate, and look at that, half a tenth quicker than Paulus. The gaps are microscopic in Formula 1. Sorry, I was just reading the comments out there. Educ has just completed a lap. I think that who's completing a lap right now? It might be Vitinho. No, it's Hypes who's invalidated on this one, so he's not going to push on this time by. Believe the laps are beginning to come to a close, so we might as well find someone who's on a lap. I think Vitinho is the furthest on a lap. He's currently through Magus and Beckers right now. 5 minutes gone in this session, of course an 18-minute qualifying session, and Vitinho goes purple in that AlphaTauri. He's found his groove and he's made it work. He's got the Williams just up ahead. Hopefully he's not going to get held up through there as through Stowe, where Albon had his off in practice session 2 yesterday on Friday through the Vale chicane. Vitinho, he's not putting a lap yet. What's he going to do? Where's he going to place that AlphaTauri? Is he going to put it on the front row? No, he must have lost it out, or he wasn't purple, because that still is that's still a glitch in this game apparently. No one seems to be on a fresh lap. I think drivers are going to begin to come into the pit lane, strap on a new set of boots. I think we've just lost the Williams there. He's actually starting on a lap. It seems we've got 4 views in the stream, not too many. You know what, that's quite nice to see people are supporting their friends. We'll follow along with Hypes, because he's actually coming towards the end of his lap. He's not putting a lap yet right now, but he's just done the 3rd sector right now. Through Stowe, he misses his apex. He completely botched that corner. He's going to lose a couple of cents through there. Hopefully he can make it up through this final couple of chicanes, and a bit of a slow run through there. Seems to have kept it tight, and he goes dead last out of the drivers who are putting laps right now. In 11th, 5 tenths back from Nuffle BC. He must have lost all that time in that 3rd sector. From what I saw, he was squirming about all over the place. He won't be happy with that one. He's going to have to find a place to improve. Vitinho pulling into the pit lane. I think Nuffle is next to put in a lap then, from 10th position, currently on a 25.5. Can he improve on this one? He's maxing out the ERS. He's just about to derate as he runs up to the line through club corner, and what's he going to do? He's going to improve to 8th position, and I believe that was just a 3/10 improvement, jumping Vitinho and Callum there, so all's fair, as I believe it is Calvin starting on a lap. There's a Williams starting on a lap. That's actually J-Luke finishing on one. He's 3 tenths up through the 2nd sector. He lost a bit of time in that third part of the track. Still at 24.9. So J-Luke sitting pretty in 5th. That was a good time from him. As LR Patrick pulling out the pit lane. He's going to want to get further up the grid. I know him personally. I've commentated over him many times actually. He's definitely quicker than 7th position, as Stumpy coming into the pit lane as well. So I think that might be Callum to come around next. Bosnia, then I believe it is Julian. Julian will be the next driver. There's a Red Bull in there somewhere. I think they're all coming through on their outlaps. There's a Racing Point somewhere who's on a lap, so we might as well follow Calvin. He's in the 3rd sector. He's done a 101.6 through the middle sector. Can he get further up the grid? He's actually not even putting a time yet. I didn't notice that. He's currently in 13th place. Now 15 cars, better attendance than last time that I did commentary for Division 2. I think it was hardly anything, but we've passed that as Calvin. Decent time from him at 24.9. He moves up into 5th position, displacing J-Luke. As Bosnia, if I can catch him. That's actually Patrick starting on a lap. think that the furthest driver up on a lap right now is E-Duck. No. Vitinho's on an outlap, isn't he? So yeah, it's Callum, the lobby host, currently a 10th up, 4 tenths up through here, almost 5, about 4.5 tenths up. This could be a big improvement for him, getting a little bit of a tow from the AlphaTauri up ahead of Vitinho. He's just going to let him go right by, as now through the Vale chicane comes Callum in that Williams, the British car on British soil. A little bit of a squirm coming out the final corner, and he lost a bit of time through that. Still 7th fastest though, but that could have been better. He's going to have to come back to the pits, fit on a new set of tyres, and then go again. I think Julian just on the verge. Oh yeah, he is. He's about to finish a lap, and he improves by 2 tenths, extending that gap to 5 tenths of a second to his teammate Just Chris, who's currently on an outlap right now. But the Alfa Romeos doing really well. They might be giving each other a little bit of slipstream to help, as we'll go on board with Chris on his lap just to see if that holds true, which I definitely think it could, because well, his teammate's right ahead of him, so he's probably going to slow up just to give him that tow. Doesn't look like he's giving it too much. He might be waiting for the hangar straight, as we're only on the Wellington straight, one of the 2 DRS zones on the track. As he's still improving. It's not enough to jump his teammate, as Patrick, whilst we weren't watching, goes 5 tenths quicker on his lap to set a 24.6. That's more like it from him. The 2 Leonis drivers locking out the front row. It's Alfa Romeo, then Mercedes, then Alfa Romeo again through the Cops corner. The old turn 1, as yes, I think Julian will give a tow through the hangar straight as, wow, he's just chopped completely across Maggotts and Beckett to get the perfect run. As now look at the slipstream that Chris is going to get here. He's going to be blitzing it down the straight quicker than anyone else on track right now, as Julian jumps out of the way. Chris through Stowe, he's just not got to mess it up through here, and then he's sitting for a good lap. He's got 3 more corners to navigate here, and he seems to have kept it neat and tidy, as now out to the final corner through Club. It's a 2 tenth improvement, still 3 tenths separating those 2. Don't think anyone else putting a lap. Watch Stumpy. He's currently on his first lap right now to see if he can maybe find his way up the grid. He's done a 27.0 through the first sector. I don't actually know where that would put him on terms with any other drivers. My throat's getting a little bit tired already. I need to chill out a bit. I've got a whole hour of commentary just by myself. Maybe if Jav comes into the stream again, we can have a nice little game of Hangman if the race gets a bit boring. But with the level that these drivers are all at, look how close they are. We've got in the middle part of the field, 5th through to about 10th, all separate. Oh wait, no, 6th separated to 10th. That's 5 cars by 1/10, or just a little bit over in the case of Vitinho. We'll move past that because Stumpy's got a little bit of traffic in the name of hypes up ahead. That might affect him through the dirty air. But he's going to come across the line, go 10th fastest, displacing Vitinho. That'll give Vitinho a fresh set a fresh set of tyres. Why is it whenever I do INL commentary I cough? It's tradition with me, isn't it? Let's see, we can find someone who's far up on our lap. I think J. Luke. Yes, he is. He's a little bit slower, and he's a lot slower through here. Almost a second down, so he's definitely not going to get an improvement on this lap. I think Nuffle is the next one. Through Stowe, he comes in that Renault car. What can he do? Up towards the Vale chicane, a tough braking zone. He seems to have got it all okay. A little bit squirmy on traction there, but he seems to be okay. As he crosses the line, he derates and goes 2nd fastest. Still 3 tenths back from Julian. Julian seems to be on another level by himself right now. We've just lost someone in F1 or Div 1. If any of the admin team are watching, just give this guy a little shot in the top division. This Julian bloke, very kind guy. I actually did commentary over his farewell race in 2019, where, well, the end of F1 2019. It was very fun actually. I think everyone's coming to the pit lane, fitting on their final set of tyres to go to the end. I don't think there's anyone on a lap right now. Well, Nuff was actually pushing, it seems, so he's using his ERA. He's flashing red on the fuel. I'm a bit confused as to what he's doing here. We'll see his... Oh, there, he's just cut the entire corner, so... That's his time going out the window. Was it? Yeah, it was definitely not going to be an improvement. He did not lose 5 tenths through there. He's not pushing at this point. He might be stuck in the higher ERS mode, or he's just forgot to turn it down, but he's going to come into the pit lane. That means the first person that we'll watch who's on a lap will be Bosnia. He's not on a lap right now, but as other drivers are coming out the pit lane, he might get a little bit of traffic, which can cock up his lap. Hopefully that doesn't happen for him, but he's not got to worry about that right now. He's just got to worry about starting the lap, getting around, saving the tyres, cooling them up as well, heating them up as well. I don't quite know why I said cooling, saving their life, but he's not got to worry about that anymore. He flicks up the ERS, presumably turns up the fuel. He is ready to start on this lap as he comes through Club Corner to start on his lap. He's currently on a 25.3, flying through Abbey. Careful not to lose it, and you can see, look at that, cars are coming out the pit lane. This is definitely going to hold him up at some point. He's only got a couple of cars to navigate. Actually, Chris is the only car in the vicinity ahead of him, then he's got clear air up until the rest of the cars up ahead, so Chris might want to try and get out of the way as soon as possible. He doesn't want to give slipstream to Bosnia, but that's exactly what he's done. He's not improving by that much though, just a little bit under half of a tenth, so 4/100ths down on up on his time, but he needs a 3/10 improvement to at least improve on the grid. Vitinho on a 25.0 as Chris gets out of the way coming into Cops Corner. Now there's no cars in front of him, so he's not going to get held up through there. Little bit of a dodgy corner through there, or dodgy run through there. One of my favourite corners on the track, and he cuts the corner. That's his lap done. He's not going to be able to improve on that one. I think J. Luke is the next car up. He's on a 24.9 at the moment, so only 4/10 separate Bosnia and J. Luke, despite them being about 4 positions different to each other. My maths not benefiting me that well, as he's purple through the first sector. He's a 10th up on his time. Well, he needs 6/10 to take pole. So a 10th improvement isn't enough at the moment, but still enough to get him up a decent way up the grid though. We'll get him into about 6th place, 6th or 5th. So yeah, all the gaps so minuscule through Maggots and Beckett's. He comes. You have to be careful through here not to invalidate like Bosnia did. A little bit far astray from the apex of Chapel, and he's lost a bit of time through there. This won't see much improvement on his position, but still a couple of places to be gained as we're winding down in the qualifying session. Drivers beginning to start and complete their laps. J. Luke will be the first one to finish, I believe, unless Calvin. No, it's not. Okay, so it is going to be J. Luke then to be the first one to cross the line on his final run. He's done a 24.7. That moves him up into 5th place, but I doubt he'll hold on to that for too long. Calvin's starting on a new run. It's Brent starting out on a lap, so I think it's TTG King who's invalidated on this run, as no one can start any new laps, so Bosnia and Stumpy aren't going to improve on 11th and 13th. J. Luke's not going to improve on his position, and TTG King, who invalidated his lap, isn't going to be able to make it further up the grid. I think Paulus is next. If I could just catch him. Oh, he spins out across the line, still goes 2nd fastest, as some cars might want to be careful not to clatter into him. Patrick did not improve on that time. He's stuck in 6th position. So I think it might be, I think it's Chris coming to the pit lane. He's not going to do any better, so it's Julian to extend on his pole lap by 8 milliseconds. marginal that, but that could make all the difference as Hypes comes across the line. He can only improve into 14th position. Who's next? I think it's Vitinho spinning into the wall on the run up to the line. He's actually oh dear. Whilst we weren't watching, Eduk went into second position. Calvin invalidated on his lap once again. I think the last driver, no, I think we're all finished. So we're just going to wait for a couple of drivers to retire from the pit, from the race, or from the session. It's going to be J. Luke, who has to be wheeled into the garage. I believe that Stumpy and Bosnia were already in the pit lane, so we're not going to see them coming out anymore. That is your confirmed grid though, by 2/10. Julian takes it. Edok, who was a bit quiet throughout the session, I didn't really see him that well throughout it, he manages to take second. Paulus in third, losing out on a front row start by 1 millisecond. Look at that, they've almost done the exact same time. It's 0.001 seconds. That is the gap between those two. Blink and you'll miss it. Crazy difference. It's crazy small. And then a further 4,000 4,000s back is BC. So second to fourth separated by 5 milliseconds. A little bit of a ways back is Chris, just by a couple hundredths. He's in 5th. Callum takes up 6th. Patrick is in 7th, and J. Luke takes up 8th. 9th goes to Calvin. Rounding out the top 10 will be Killer Brent in that Renault. Stumpy's going to get a fresh set of tyres. He is going to take up 11th. Vitinho in 12th after he spun out across the line. Didn't manage to improve, even though he was improving on his time. And we'll have the rest of the rundown after that. It's not many cars. Maybe if Paulus didn't actually have that spin, he could have been on pole. Oh, the rest of the drivers, by the way, are United Bosnia in 13th and 14th for Hypes, and TTG King takes up 15th and last place. Look at that though, the entire grid separated by 1.4 seconds. That's actually pretty close, and the top 13 is 1 second, so fair play to everyone there. It's really competitive from them. I can see anyone winning this race. If you're not too far back, you're going to be in with a good shout. But then you've also got Julian. Despite it being 1.4 seconds throughout the entire grid, Julian's 2/10 clear of his nearest rival, so it really puts things into perspective on how dominant Julian has been this qualifying session. He was on pole basically throughout the entire thing, so I've got to give it to him. He really does deserve a top seat. Maybe Div 2 isn't the place for him, as we've just got we've got 30 more seconds until lights out. Well, we've actually got the formation lap where drivers are just going to go around warming up their tyres. I'm going to go get a quick drink so I don't cough throughout the race. Sorry about that, I am back now, as we're rolling away on the formation lap, just coming through the first sector. If you didn't know already, Julian's taking up pole, Edux in second. That's your front row. Cars that you wouldn't normally see on the front row of the grid. Normally you'd see a Mercedes 1-2, But that's not the case. We got two of the slowest cars on the grid taking up the first and second spot. You can see everyone weaving around the track, trying to get heat into those tyres. The hotter they are, the more that they're going to grip. But if they overheat, they might spin up more, and you can spin out easily. So it's really a game of hit or miss. If you don't hit a certain temperature, you're not going to have ideal temperatures in the tyres, so less traction. And if you heat them up too much, you're going to have too much. I don't actually know. I don't know how overheating really works, and those two are coming close together. Eduk trying to go side by side with Julian. That was a bit controversial, but you just saw at the bottom of your screen. It'll probably pop up again. There we go. Just on command. It is a one-stop strategy. Soft to mediums is probably the guaranteed strategy, unless there's an early safety car and drivers want to take advantage of a free pit stop. You can see the tyre choices. The top 10 have to start on the tyre that they qualified on, and in everyone's case that is the softs, and then the drivers outside the top 10 get free choice of tyres. You can see 4 out of the 5 who are starting from 11th to 15th have opted for the alternate strategy on the medium tyres, so they're going to have a slower start, but they can go longer into this stint, and then when the track is rubbered in, they can swap onto the soft tyres and be quicker than the drivers who are going to be on worn out mediums at that point. As we're just running through, Chris is going to hold everyone up, it seems. You can see that as I think the races are ending for Division 1 and Division 3, which means we're going to see some drivers that start to come in, which will be nice. As you can see that Paulus was disqualified from the formation lap, and I believe that Nuffle was as well, so it must have come to blows between those two, which means that they're going to be on cooler tyres. They're going to have less grip at the start, as the lights are on, as Vitinho's got a drive-through penalty. That will hinder him quite a lot. The lights are out and we are underway. Who's got the best getaway? There's a big cloud of smoke coming out there. Look at the start that Nuffle's got. He's going to try and go down the inside, coming through Abbey, already overtaking Edok. That's a great start from the Renault driver. Paulus and Chris seem to have held position, as now look at that, they're going 3 wide in the back, it seems, as J-Luke, and they're all swapping positions. J-Luke's beginning to fall down the grid. Chris has lost out 2 positions. Patrick's made up 2, as Calvin, I think Calvin's gone for a little spin there. You can see he's in the barriers. He's going to have to make up the throughout the rest of the race, but it's Julian leading from Nuffle BC, then Eduk, as there's a side-by-side action between Patrick and Paulus. Seems like Paulus has maintained P4 for now, but look at this, into the slipstream on the run up to Cops. Don't tell me he's going to go down the inside. Patrick thinks better of it. He's going to hang back, and Paulus, look at how wide he's run through there, and he's definitely going to pick up a warning. Vitinho's got a drive-through penalty, going side by side with King, who's had a really good getaway on this lap. You'd expect that from the soft runners, but that's not what Vitinho needed. He needed a good getaway and to be further off the grid. Look at him using the overtake on King. You can see the difference in pace on the run up to Stowe. He blitzes past him. And Julian's already pulling out almost a second gap. Patrick looking to be challenging Paulus, as there goes Julian. They complete the first lap of the race. Eduk comes into the pits. I think DRS is apparently enabled. What's happened to Edok? Why has he lost out so much? He's disconnected. He's ghosted, and there's the safety car. What? Well, the safety car's out, so if these drivers wanted to, who are on the softs, a little bit worn out from their qualifying runs, they can come into the pit lane, fit on the hard tyres, and 100% run to the end of the Grand Prix. I think Vitinho's lost it somewhere in the out of Abbey after serving a drive-through maybe, and oh dear, they're all glitching out. Apparently Bosnia's leading the race, which is not true. It is Julian leading. Second for Nuffle, BC. Nuffle, and then BC's in fourth. No, Edok is in third. Fourth is Paulus. Fifth goes to Patrick. Then sixth for Chris. J-Luke's in eighth. Ninth for Callum. 10th for Brent. 11th for Bosnia. Then Hype's in. Hang on, I've lost he's in 11th. 12th, the King, then Stumpy is in 13th. We just gotta wait for Calvin to cross the, what is he doing? I think he's gone for another spin there on his medium tyres, so not ideal from him, but he's gonna have to come through. I'll read out the comments, why not? And there you go, as he crosses the first sector split, it's gonna allow for Julian to retake the lead, who is coming into the pit lane. Interesting move. Seems like everyone is split on the championship. Split on the strategy. As BC, Paulus, and J. Luke have all stayed out. Brent does the same. Bosnia, of course, he started on the medium. All the medium runners are going to probably stay out, it seems. As we've got some drivers. No, they're all going on to the hard. So yeah, that is what I predicted. But King has gone on to the mediums. It'll be interesting to see how he wrestles that. BC inherits the lead. He's essentially lost a pit stop though, so he's going to be quicker than Julian and Edoc and all those guys who have come into the pit lane for the hards. But he's lost essentially a 21-second gap that he could have used. I guess track position is something, but this is a track that you can easily overtake on. It's not like Monaco or Australia where it's really difficult to overtake at. Well, I just named a couple of tracks. You know, you got Singapore, that's pretty difficult to overtake on. Brazil's actually quite a hard place to overtake. But this isn't one of the tracks. There's so many overtaking opportunities. You've got through Brooklands, coming out of Maggots and Beckett's, of course, then through Stowe. Maybe if you're audacious, you can try send it into the Vale chicane. But my point is, you can overtake in multiple places, which makes getting through the field not that difficult. And with the pace that Julian has shown, you'd have to think that Julian's going to do really well in this race and catch up to these guys. Bosnia, Hypes, and Stumpy, all those guys have stayed out on their tyres. Of course, they were completely fresh. We're on lap number 3, I believe. Sometimes the game is weird. I think it is lap 3 though. And then we'll come on to lap number 4. So DRS is not going to be enabled because we're under safety car until a couple laps after. And once Calvin catches back up to the grid, the safety car really was his saviour actually, because he was way down. He probably wasn't going to have a good race at all, coming from being spun around in the first sector on the first lap. He's been given a way back into the fight. For at least just for fun, I guess. We've not got much to talk about, but we might as well run through some track facts that I know. This was at the site of the first ever official Formula 1 Grand Prix. This used to be an airfield as well, so you got a good perception of where the wind's coming from. And apparently at Abbey Corner there's a lake full of carp. They were talking about it during one of the practice sessions because nothing was really happening, I don't think, as Edoc's retired. Edoc's gone. Both, you can see at the back of your screen, well, not anymore, but he's just gone. What happened there? Both AlphaTauri cars now out of the Grand Prix, and it's only lap number 4. What's happened there? It's just on the Wellington straight. Was he weaving too much? Then he lost the car. That is that's quite confusing, to be honest. One thing that the safety car allows for the soft runners to do is run later into their stints. I assume the safety car is going to come in this lap because the grid is completely stacked up. But because the safety car is allowing for them to go slower without losing positions, they're not going to be wearing out the tyres as much. We just received word from race control that the safety car is in this lap, so it's now Nuffle's discretion as to how they restart. He can go slow as he likes. He's just got to let the safety car get into the pit lane first, and then he can control the start. That is how it works. We'll have to see when he decides to pull the trigger though. The safety car pulls into the pit lane. He can go from any point now, I assume, once he is in the acceleration zone of Vale Chicane, whilst everyone else is not in the acceleration zone. And he can get a good getaway and catch everyone out. As there he goes now, he accelerates and he is shifting up the gears. You can see through what corner is that? Club, he gained 3/10 on Paulus behind as we are green flag on lap number 5 once again, flying through Abbey. You can see Killer Brent wants to get a move on. He was trying to maybe send a move on J. Luke, as you can see the soft runners already pulling out a gap. United Bosnia seems to not be in the quickest state of minds right now. There's a little bit of a battle going on behind between a Williams car and an Alfa Romeo. That's Chris and Callum going to blows. And Chris comes out victorious in this one, but now using up the ERS, and I think there's also battles going on up ahead, so we might as well just follow on that one, because here comes J-Luke coming up the inside. They're side by side down the Old National pit straight through Woodcut, and now on the run up to Cops. Can they run too wide? Will they run too wide? Who's going to back out? And wow, they've kept that surprisingly clean. J-Luke running really wide there, so it's a bit reminiscent of what happened on lap number 1, as Paulus is not going to give up this fight. Killer Brent also watching from the background, as no DRS as of yet, but he's got the ERS to use. J-Luke's not going to use any of it. Seems to have kept a strong gap though, and he maybe managed to keep it through Chapel, and now through Stowe they come. J-Luke moved into second position. He's pretty strong right now, but of course he's yet to make a pit stop. Callum losing out to Calvin. Has he got damage on that car? I don't believe he does, but he seems to be dropping down the order. Knuckles gone into the distance. He's 1.5 seconds clear of his nearest rival, so he's in a really good position at the moment. Killer Brent might want to get a move on against Paulus, because through Village they're losing out a bit of time to J-Luke, just a couple of tenths throughout each corner. As what is happening? TTG King J seems to be losing out positions. He might have got a tap from someone somewhere, I don't know. As Paulus, I think that might be the first penalty we've seen in this race. Let's have a look at Julian. You can see following behind Stumpy. There's a bit of a glitch on my timing screen. It says that all the medium runners who started on those tyres haven't even done a single lap. So well done to them for keeping their tyres in such good nick. Of course, that's not true. Julian running really wide. There's Bosnia running a little bit slow up ahead. Don't quite know what's happened with him there, as Julian really should be looking to get a move on, as I think Brent's going to maybe try and size up a move on Paulus. He's using up the ERS. He's definitely wanting to make one. Looking to the inside. He's too far back to get it done through Stowe. Side by side, though, through Stowe. Julian picks off the first of many to come. He's got Bosnia up ahead. He defends to the inside, switches to the racing line. That might be a little bit dirty from him, but he seems to be getting away with it, as through the club corner he's got Bosnia up ahead. United Bosnia. I don't know whether to call him United or Bosnia. I think I'm just going to stick with Bosnia, because that's what I've always done. And look at that, you can already see he's pulling out the gap to Stumpy behind. 3/10 separating those guys. There seems to be a little bit of a solidification, I think I've used that word right, throughout the gaps. No one's really going to try and overtake. I think at this point you want to save your tyres, try and stretch them, especially if you're a medium runner, and most notably Calvin and King, because they pitted. They're probably not going to want to pit again. You'd lose out too much time if that was the case. Patrick, whilst we weren't watching, side by side with Stumpy almost taps him and spins him around, giving him a little bit of a pit maneuver, but they are okay, as Patrick once again overtaking Stumpy. Seems to be slipping back in the field just a little bit, as there's a couple tenths separating Julian and Patrick. Patrick's had a really good start to this race, but Julian seems to be stealing the show at the moment. DRS now enabled in this lap. You can see the difference in speed that DRS and overtake makes, as now up the inside through Stowe. Julian gets the position, and there's a little bit of a battle going on behind, side by side between Chris and Calvin. Chris really getting his hands dirty in this race, as Calvin has got the inside line for the Vale Chicane, but Chris with the switchback move. He had the inside line and he gets the move done through club corner, but still Calvin trying to make it stick through the inside on Abby, at Abby. Wow, that was a ballsy move from him. Is Chris maybe going to try and lunge it? No. That was a nice little bit of exchange there, and Calvin's dropped it on traction. And he's in the same place that he was before. That was quite unexpected. It is easy to drop it on traction there. And that Racing Point's not having a good day today. Bosnia was catching up to Julian a little bit, but I think he was using up overtake mode. Saying that though, he's actually got 70% ERS, whilst Julian has 24, and there's actually quite a lot of flat out corners around this track. So one thing that does mean is that it's difficult to save up ERS like you would on a slower circuit. One that comes to mind is Canada, because there's loads of slow corners through there. I think, did someone just go off there? Well, two Mercedes now following along each other. Is Bosnia going to make it easier for his teammate Patrick? Yes, he will. Patrick slips by on the inside. Bosnia didn't really put up much of a fight. The two Leonis drivers, there's a little bit of contact there. I don't quite know if he was annoyed or if he just made a mistake. But now that's going to open the door for Stumpy a little bit here, because now he's got loads and loads of ERS. Bosnia's on the back foot a little bit here, as he's not going to be able to keep up with Patrick that well, because the hard tires are going to start to phase in very soon, especially since Bosnia's been on those medium tyres since the beginning of the race. Saying that, he's still in the slipstream and DRS of Patrick. Is he going to size up a move through here? I think J-Luke's gone. I think he lost a bit there. Hypes moves up into 4th. He's yet to pit though. Julian following along behind. My voice is going a little bit. Commentating by myself is pretty difficult actually. I wish I did have a co-commentator, but I'm just going to commentate alone for the rest of this race. Chris getting a penalty. You don't want to rack up penalties in this game, because they are really easy to get. As here comes Julian. Is it going to be overtake number 3 for the Alfa Romeo driver? Could it be overtake number 3 and 4? As he gets past J. Luke, and he's lost a bit out to two Hypes as the first of the soft runners comes into the pit lane. That's Nuffle, and then J. Luke also coming in. Those guys' tyres were pretty much dead at that point, as now the pit window's open, but these guys are beginning to come in now as someone's lost it. I think, who is that? Is that Stumpy? Stumpy's lost it and he's just reversing. Well, he's not reversing, but he's completely binned it on the pit straight. I wonder if that was colliding with Bosnia. That could be interesting. Meanwhile, there goes Julian on Hypes, making his way up into 3rd, and that is a podium position that's a place on the rostrum. Hypes is going to try and fight him back though, and he's in the slipstream towards Cops. He's not using overtake though, so I don't think he's thinking about making a move, and there he goes. Missing the apex a bit there and losing quite a lot of time. That's about 3/10 lost just through that one corner alone, through Maggots and Beckett's. These two have been coming to blows quite often this race, I believe. Callum and Chris, they've both been fighting each other throughout the race, as Callum on the back foot a little bit here. He's got Chris behind him, but Chris in the DRS, and that is a 1 second window that you need, as Brent and Paul are coming to the pit lane. So that means that Julian's going to inherit the lead here, and he's going to have a great gap to Patrick behind. If I actually just do the detail to, oh I know, the gap to the leader, that is 1.2 seconds separating Patrick and Julian, his closest rival in this race. Stumpy, his race is going from bad to worse, as he gets a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I assume that Julian won't come into the pit lane for the rest of the race unless that there's a safety car or he makes a mistake, which is possible because these guys are human, believe it or not. Even though sometimes their meticulous driving style makes it look like they're robots, they are human and they do make mistakes. Of course, being right behind here, oh, I've just pressed a button on my remote, there we go. A car sits in between Patrick and Julian, the two Leonis drivers, part of LR. That is their abbreviation. They used to be called Livid. It's a team I've actually always admired. They've had some great drivers come through the team, like Eclipse, and of course the legendary CRG Sparks. Those two come to mind when I think of LR. So they've got a pretty strong history. They've won events before as well, so it's not like their trophy cabinet's empty. So these two are prospectful drivers. They can go on to do great things in the future, become top tier drivers. I'm not going to mention another league, but they've got their placements. I actually don't know if Julian signed up for this one league. But I expect Patrick to definitely challenge for the championship in the division that he got. I definitely think it was the wrong division for him. But we'll move past that as not related to INL. What is related to INL is the battle between Hypes and Patrick, as Patrick really wants to get a move on, because with that Red Bull in between them two, in between the two Leonis drivers, that is going to be time lost, especially if Hypes wants to fight with the Mercedes cars. Now someone's gone off. I think I might be Stumpy again, you know. He's been really having a bad day. It certainly was him. Unlucky for him, as there goes Patrick to the outside towards the run up to Stowe and gets the move done before the corner even comes. That is the gap between the leaders, less than a second. It's actually just jumped over a little bit. Jumped over the second that he needs, so he's not going to get DRS unless he can make up time in the first sector, and that will be detrimental to Patrick's races if he has the DRS or not. Chris and Callum still close on track right now. Those two once again going to the end. Callum's actually going to find himself in third position once the rest of the drivers come into the pit lane, so he's had a good race, kept out of incidences. He's timed his pit stop to perfection. He's going to go to the end on those hard tyres. They can do the entire race, by the way, without dying. We do have damage on, so they can puncture, which I don't think they're going to have to worry about too much. Someone who will have to worry about that is King, because he's already been on these tyres for 9 laps, which is still in their working window where they're going to be strong. They can probably do about 16, maybe 15, 16 laps without dying completely. But he's going to be doing this for, I think, what I said, 22 laps, I believe. 22, 23 laps on the medium tyres. He's going to be struggling towards the end of the Grand Prix, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a puncture just from the tyres being too worn out, which is a possibility, because I believe the threshold was 80% on the last game, but I think it's from 60 on this game, so a lot more opportunities for drivers to puncture. One thing I love about the spectator mode is you can actually move around, which is cool. If you want to see the all-in, the great Robert Kubica, then there you go. Down the straight they come. They've caught up to Bosnia quite a lot there, who's gone really, really deep into, I think it's Brooklands, and through Lovefield. They come now. It seems to be quicker though than Callum through Woodcut now onto the national pit straight. This is going to be an interesting fight. Bosnia's been on those tyres since the beginning of their Grand Prix. He's going to want to come in soon and get a fresh pair of boots on. I'm a bit tired today. Here's someone on completely fresh tyres, chasing someone who's been on the same set of mediums since lap 3. As I've missed the battle. Callum gets past Bosnia. I didn't quite see that there. And now there's a car between the two drivers who have been locking horns like two ferocious bulls. But none of these drivers are in the Red Bull, so I can't make that analogy. But through Abbey they come. There's a big time difference and another car between Callum and Chris. Not going to be what Chris wanted throughout this race. I am sorry that my commentary is not up to standard. It's not what it normally is. I'm a bit tired today, you know, it's really hot as well. It's not as hot as it was yesterday. That was crazy. Bosnia trying to size on the move through Brooklands, but he wasn't close enough there, and that could allow Chris to get back into the fight. Where he's going to struggle though, following behind the Mercedes car, is through Maggots and Beckett's, as well as Cops. He's going to run wide. The disturbed air is called dirty air. It's when the car in front has taken up, he's going through all the corners, the downforce actually causes dirty air to be made, and then, or disturbed air, I guess is what it's normally called. There's a yellow flag through sector 2, I think that might be Cal, but again, we're not going to follow along with that, because here comes Bosnia on Callum. Is he going to dive it into Stowe? Ooh, he had a look, he didn't have it pay off though, as you don't want to be doing that too often, because eventually you're gonna make a mistake if you try and send it at every corner. You know, that's gonna allow for the car behind, especially if you don't get the move done on the car that you were trying to overtake. It's gonna cost you a lot, as the gap between Patrick and Julian is now coming up to 2 seconds. As I was saying that, he takes out 3/10 on Julian, does Patrick, so good from him. Whilst we weren't watching, J-Luke did get past Calvin, but of course that might be because of them two fight, of Calvin spinning. Someone who's not overtaking because of spinning is not for me, so he's coming to the pit lane. Got a fresh set of mediums on, and he makes the move on King J there. We're just coming up to 10 laps to go this time by. Hypes once again getting a penalty. I think he's going to pit on this lap, or maybe try and extend it by one or two more laps, because remember we did have the safety car, which would have. Oh wait, but he wasn't on. No, he started on these tyres, so yeah. Look at that, he's not even losing that much time. He's just a little under 1.5 tenths down on his personal best lap. What that is, I don't know. And yeah, no, he's not going to come to the pit lane. So we're coming around for 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Julian leading from Patrick. Then Hypes in third position. Bosnia still can't find a way past Callum. And then Chris, good save from him, but look at how much time he's lost. Almost a second to Bosnia there. That will be what Bosnia wanted, because now he's not going to have as much of a battle to put up with from the chasing Alfa Romeo, who's on fresher tyres, which as the Grand Prix goes on, they're going to be phased more and more in. Well, what I'm a bit confused about is that if Bosnia fights these guys so hard when he knows he has to make a pit stop at some point in this race, why are you fighting them so hard? You're just causing time lost between all of you, and you can see how deep he runs into Luffield there. He's struggling on the tyres, it seems, so I guess getting a wider line can affect a better exit. But you look at the ERS differences: 30% for Chris, and then 16% for Bosnia, and Calvin retires in the pit lane. That won't be a safety car. If it is, I will be flipping shocked, you know. But look at this, Chris is definitely closer to Bosnia than Bosnia is to Callum, so this could be a good opportunity for an overtake for Chris. But again, the DRS that Callum is giving to Bosnia is not helping Chris's situation at the moment, as we begin lap number 18, 9 laps left in this Grand Prix to go. We're getting into the twilight phase of this race, and I think this time by Hypes and Bosnia are going to have to come to the pit lane, call it quits on these tyres, because they're not going to last to the end of the race, and they have to make a pit stop. Mandatory 2 different compounds in a race. As through the Wellington straight again, it feels like we've been watching this battle for so long. Callum defends to the inside, moves back over to the racing line. Bosnia can't get the move done though. That was actually really good defence from Callum. Once he knew that Bosnia wasn't going to be able to make a move, he swapped over to the racing line, get the optimum line through the corner. As to be fair to Bosnia, on these 1L medium tyres, he's actually done really well to keep up with Callum. I'd have thought at this point you'd be so far off. Stumpy retires in the pit lane. We've got 11 runners left in the race. We've lost 4 drivers. Bertinho, Eduk, Calvin is the one that's retired, and then Stumpy, who we've just lost now on lap number 18 of the Grand Prix. And Hypes finally comes into pit lane. Bosnia decides one more lap. If I can just hold up Callum for whatever reason, then that would be fun. Maybe it could be a plot against Chris. You know what? Callum and Bosnia could be colluding. Who knows? They could just say, you know what? Stay out as long as you can. You're not going to get any good position in there. Actually, to be fair to him, he'll come out with a deep... Actually, no, Bosnia's not going to be close in this race. Given how long the pit lane is. And look at that, Hypes has just come out in last. You know, and he's lost by a good few seconds, 5 seconds back. That's going to be the same fate for Bosnia. These guys have done really well to actually keep it tight-knit throughout the race, especially since how long this track is. It's easier to lose time the longer the track is. That's why you see pretty close races in Austria, given the fact that it is triple DRS. Through back-to-back straights, it gets a bit too much. This is probably the perfect blend of DRS and then natural straights. You got the first straight, then you've got the international straight, I think that's what it's called, and also the run up to Manx and Beckett's does serve a little bit of a straight, and then you got the Hangar straight and the Wellington straight acting as your DRS zones. Of course, the start finish straight actually used to serve as a third DRS zone, but they took it out for safety, I believe, because of Marcus Ericsson going off. We'll move back onto the race because J. Luke, a little bit slow through there, is king, and J. Luke's not going to be happy about that one. I don't think it was enough to give him wing damage, as we've got 7 laps to go on this race, this time by for J. Luke and King. J. Luke's going to get a little bit impatient. King is going to be struggling with these tyres. They're about to drop off their operating window, and I think Chris is gone. There's Chris around. That's him gone from this fight. So I see no reason why Bosnia would try and fight this more. Just come to the pits now, try and set a fastest lap. You're not... He's done really well in this race, to be fair to him. And there we go. Jay gets past King. Pretty textbook move. I'm not one of the commentators that'll scream over every overtake that there is, because you know what? You're gonna see overtakes. You might as well normalise them, unless they're crazy, like overtaking through Manx and Beckett, or doing some crazy around the outside move. But Paulus trying to fight with Nuffle BC. These guys were the select few that stayed out on the soft tyres, and now to the outside goes Paulus, trying to give him a little bit of a squeeze. Is Nuffle BC on the inside, but he can't hold on to the Red Bull car. Paulus moves up into 7th for Nuffle, but I doubt he's going to hold up for too long. These two are going to be locking horns for a good few laps, because on the next time by, Nuffle's going to have DRS on Paulus. They can just keep fighting with each other. They've got no threats in front or behind. They're pretty much free to do whatever they want, as Bosnia has come into the pit lane, and you can see what I mean, where he's going to be nowhere. He's currently in last by about 6 seconds to give it. It's probably going to start flattening out about this point, yeah. Well, look at that. Nuffle actually didn't get past through Brooklands, so he's on the back foot now. He's going to have to sit in the dirty air of Paulus. Maybe save a bit of ERS until you get to the hangar straight, because Paulus is definitely handling the ERS better than Nuffle right now, as he's still closing in on the Red Bull car. He doesn't need ERS, as through Maggots and Beckett up towards Chapel and then the hangar straight. That's crucial. Paulus has just got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, as now here he comes, the Renault car using up, he's actually not using up overtake, but he's in the DRS of Paulus and he's too far back. He can't get the move on Paulus there, so he's going to have to sit behind for another lap. We're on lap number 22 of this Grand Prix. Julian leading by now 4 seconds to Patrick. He's running his own race by himself. He's dominated it around here in Britain. I'm proud of the kid. He's done well. I'm sure he's listening to his Supermax, because whenever I'm in a party with him, that's all he plays, and I like it. So well done, Julian. You do deserve this race, as Nuffle surely has to get past here, using up his overtake. He senses an overtaking opportunity. Will he dive it down the inside? Yes, he will, into Brooklands. This is Jack Aitken-esque. And running a little bit wide is Paulus. He's got the inside line for Luffield. Is now all side by side down through Woodcut now. This is the battle that I wanted, as up towards Cops. Is he going to back out? No, he's not. Is he going to try and hold him around the outside? He can't get the move, but that was going to be impressive if he did. He just has to tuck him behind. Look at how much ERS he invested in that, and what came from it? Nothing. So he's going to be on the back foot through here, still with DRS though, so it's not all doom and gloom for him, as with the DRS he's going to at least be able to hang on to Paulus, who's, look at how neither of them have any ERS to play with. Oh, I've just turned off my TV. Whoops. 1 second. I did not mean to do that. Should turn back on. Oh dear. I don't know what's happening right now. There we go. We're I was flipping my remote and then I accidentally pressed the source button, and then that changed it, so mistake on my part. There goes Bosnia setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix at 26.9. You'd expect that on the grippier surface. Of course, the more rubber that's been laid down, the more grip that they're going to have, and Hypes has actually caught up to King pretty well through here. King, once again, he's going to be struggling actually with the tyres at this point in the races. Now he's getting a really big squeeze on the inside, a little bit of contact I think, pushing Hypes just a little bit on exit, and he can't hold it. Look at the difference in grip through at the national pit straight they come. No, is he? Oh, don't try it through Cops. No, he's not gonna. That would have been crazy if he did. Hypes had a little bit of a compromised line through there actually, and that has slowed him up just a tad, but I'd imagine just through Mags and Beckett alone, the insane amount of grip that his tyres have will carry him through. Nuffle, I think he actually tried sending a move there, but he couldn't get it done, and look at that again, he's lost out on time. This seems to be a bit of a yo-yo that's happening. You know, Nuffle's getting really close to Paulus, and then in an instant he loses out so much time, and then he could just sit in the DRS, but he's still using all of the ERS that he has available. If I were him, I'd sit in the DRS train and the slipstream of Paulus, and then save up some ERS, invest it all in the last lap, get some strong exits, and you can see they've actually not got too much of a difference, but you wouldn't send it here. I wouldn't even turn it on if I were him. I'd just sit in the slipstream, and he's actually done that, and you can see under braking how much he gains. He's on 33, Paulus is on 45, so Paulus doing the same thing that Nuffle's doing, and he feels he needs to use some ERS at least just to keep up with the guy. Paulus seems to be on another level from Nuffle at the moment. Nuffle's struggling at this point in the Grand Prix. We've only got a couple laps left to go, as it's actually 2 to go this time by from Julian. So we'll have 2 more laps. Julian has dominated this race. He's 5.5 seconds clear of the nearest car to him, that being Patrick, who's then got a further 3 seconds back to Callum, who's then got a further 7.5 seconds back to Chris. To be fair to Chris though, he did have a spin at some point, so it's not because he's slow. I don't quite know what happened. It might have been a little bit of a collision with Bosnia. It might have been what Calvin done, where he lost it at the same corner through Village. It's just a whole situation. I'm sure he'll have some words with Bosnia later after the race is finished. Once it's finished, because maybe he could have been on for a podium this race. We won't know though, because it's all hypothetical. And this time by, I think Nupple's going to be closing in on Paulus. Paulus going to use his overtake. He saved up more ERS than Nuffle did. Nuffle's still going to go up the inside, and has Paulus held him around the outside. He's got the inside line through Luffield. As now, can Nuffle get the move on the outside? They're still side by side, and there goes Nuffle. What a move from the Renault driver there. But he still invested a lot of his ERS. So it's nothing is sealed at the moment. Paulus could still get the position back, and he'd have to expect through the hangar straight. Look how close he is now, using up his ERS, and he's gonna blitz it down the straight to the outside, the left hand side of the track, and that is the move made for the Red Bull car. Once again, we begin the final lap of the Grand Prix. Julian is gonna lead it here, but this is the battle that we've been watching for so long in this race. Nuffle BC against Paulus for 5th place. These two have put on a great show together. Great mutual respect from these guys. I'd expect in the Discord server them to be talking about it, and just how bad run through there from Nuffle. He's gonna lose out a little bit of time to Paulus, but I'd imagine in the Discord they're going to be talking about this battle, because they've actually shown a lot of respect for each other, and the Coughs are back. Lovely to see you again. I have to take another sip of my water. There we go. Can't replicate what he did this time last lap, where he hung it around the outside of Luffield and through Woodcut. So he's just going to have to sit back, maybe, if he, you know what, I think the race might be over for him. I don't think he's going to have any more opportunities unless he can get a monstrous run out of Chapel. He seems to have a good run through Maggots and Beckers, as now he tucks into the slipstream, using up all of the ERS that he has left, which is hardly anything. Julian wins the race, a 5-second penalty to add on though, as Patrick closes up to 1.4 seconds, so that 5-second penalty making all the difference. Callum in 3rd, but Nuffle trying to send it up the inside through the Velch again. He can't get the move, as now across the line, Paulus in P4, and Nuffle takes it on penalties. Honestly, it's the comms by myself that does this. It's the comms. Doing them by myself really does not help me. Well done to Hypes, the driver of the day here today. He made up the most positions out of anyone. We'll have a full rundown of the grid, and then I'll end the stream out here. To the top step of the podium, Brendan Lee stands. Just a joke. It's LR Julian winning the race for Alfa Romeo, and that's going to be strong for him starting in this season, as he sprays the champagne. Good race today, as here's the full rundown of the grid. LR Julian taking the win, then Patrick in 2nd, penaltyless from him there today. Callum also with no penalties, he's on the final step of the podium. Nuffle BC taking up 4th, then 5th goes to Chris. Brent came out of nowhere really to take 6th. Paulus had a mountain of penalties, 17 seconds added onto his race time. He takes up 7th position. J Luke, who was a bit quiet after his battle, he he finished where he started in 8th position, and Hypes in 9th, 10th for Bosnia, King is in 11th, and 12th for Stumpy, Calvin in 13th, Edok in 14th, and the first one to go in the race on lap number 1, Vitinho in AlphaTauri. What we could have seen from him today could have been great from him. He's a very quick driver, but that is the end of the stream. I hope you've all enjoyed, but I am gonna probably have a drink or something. Take care, everyone.